In the criminal justice system, the people,
Pimps, addicts, thieves, bums, winos, girls who can't keep an address, and men who don't care.
are represented by two separate yet equally important groups.
A cop, a flatfoot, a bull, a dick, John Law. You're the fuzz, the heat. You're poison, you're trouble, you're bad news.
These are their stories.
The jury has come back, a Texas jury finding the parents of a school shooter not liable for the negligence in the civil trial that was brought in connection with the 2018 shooting at the Santa Fe High School. The jury did find the gunman liable and awarded the plaintiffs more than $300 million. This gunman killed 8 children, 2 adults, wounded over a dozen others at this high school near Galveston. The thing went down in 2018. He was 17 years old at the time, the gunman. Survivors and family members of some of those who were gunned down sued the parents, who you see here. They accused the parents of failing to properly secure the family's firearms and failing to act on their son's declining mental state leading up to the shooting. Parents of a depressed child, this is a quote, should safely store their guns, said the attorney for the plaintiffs. If they don't, and their child commits a school shooting with them, the parents share in the responsibility of those harms and losses. The parents testified that they didn't see any warning signs ahead of the shooting, and their attorney said that they couldn't be held liable for the son's actions. I think the parents needed to be vindicated, and it needed to happen publicly, said their attorney. The plaintiff's attorney said that they would have liked to have had the parents share in the responsibility for this act. Parents should know their kids better than anyone else, and they should be all our first lines of defense, said the attorney. So this is, and I'll just make this point. They blame the retailer, the parents do. They don't blame themselves for not seeing these signs. So there was a lot of finger pointing in all of this. But this kid, 17 years old, bought more than 100 rounds of ammo. And they did sell him that ammo without verifying his age. I mean, it's an extraordinary thing. That's Texas. They're looser on gun laws. But I believe they settled, didn't they? Yeah, Lucky Gunner was a defendant in the lawsuit until last year. Then they did settle with the families. I mean, this is a profoundly sad thing, and it's almost pathetic that we have to go to a jury system and sue for liability and get some kind of check and payment and let that teach them a lesson. But you know what? That's the society we live in. The way to punish both these companies and even the parents, who I would suggest, and again, maybe when you get into the granular nature of things, the parents didn't know a lot, but I'd suggest that they have to bear some responsibility. And I get it. They're guilty. They'll be haunted by this. But I'm sorry, when your son has access to this stuff and your son is going through these kinds of the throes of a mental episode, depression and more, you have some responsibility to become involved in some way. Now, to be fair to the parents said, we didn't know he was in the throes of a mental episode or in depression. So, in fact, the quote from the father was, sometimes it takes years to recognize that your kid's sick. Okay. The parents have not been charged with any crime in all of this.
What's interesting is, and I know that it was a criminal case in Michigan, the Crumbly case, where the parents were actually found criminally liable and sent to jail. But I was reading an analysis on the case you just mentioned, and the thinking was, okay, well, if this case is successful, then it might be that the pendulum is swinging toward parents being held responsible in multiple cases like this. So it's interesting that they were not held liable.
Yeah, and I'd suggest, at least from a jetliner view of things, that that's exactly what you want to do. You want to hold parents responsible up to a certain point. because they are the first line of defense. On the other hand, a lot of parents don't know that their kids are doing drugs. They don't know that their kids are involved in a number of different things. When kids leave the house, you really don't have the cleanest idea of what they're doing. I mean, the clearest idea.
I know that we don't want to be helicopter parents. I understand that. But you have to pay attention. You have to grab their phone and look through their texts and make sure that, there's no creeps flying around or that things are appropriate. You have to be an active participant in their lives. You can't just back off and say, okay, well, you're a teenager now, so go ahead and do whatever you're going to do. There's still parenting responsibilities. You still have to be engaged.
As Tony in San Antonio said, looser on gun laws, Mark. We don't have any gun laws in Texas. Sue Republicans for not passing gun legislation, says Mindy. Yeah. Meantime, Oklahoma State coach Mike Gundy has had enough of the distraction that goes along with this new era of college football. The new era is that college athletes are able to petition for money.
Yeah.
Oklahoma State players are being told now, stop asking for more money.
I mean, if you could ask, wouldn't you? Why? The worst they're going to say is no.
Mike Gundy, who's the Oklahoma State coach, told his players it's time to play football and to inform your agents to quit calling us and asking for more money. The changing world of college sports, the NCAA, Atlantic Coast Conference, Big Ten, Big 12, Pac-12, and Southeastern Conference agreed in May to pay billions in damages to former and current college athletes who were denied the ability to earn money, dating all the way back to 2016. So the business side of college sports is now growing and is so overgrown, many of these college coaches are saying, that they have to say, quit calling us agents. We're not only about that. We're about winning football games and showing up to practice.
Well, some of these players aren't going to go pro. So this is really their only opportunity to get that kind of sports money, right?
I'd suggest that most won't. And that's exactly right. You have to strike while the iron is hot, to use the phrase, right? A shock to us all, says the LAPD. They are firing supervisors of the Mission Gang Unit down in Southern California. A year after LA cops from an anti-gang unit in the San Fernando Valley were accused of illegally searching vehicles and stealing from people they pulled over. An internal department email shows 3 of their supervisors now are facing termination. Dominic Choi, who's the interim chief, calling for the firing of a captain, a lieutenant, and a sergeant in the LAPD's Mission Division. They were not authorized to speak publicly, any of these people. So this is kind of information that journalists have found. At least 5 lower-ranking officers have been implicated in this scandal. It is still unfolding. But these 3 high-profile cops being relieved of duty. This unit came under scrutiny last year when an LAPD internal investigation found misconduct by officers, including the theft of a knife with brass knuckles on the handle. The lieutenant in charge of that gang unit and one of the supervisors, they are among those being let go. There are 5 additional officers that apparently have roles in all of this as well, and they will be terminated too. And that is Law and Disorder.
Tune in again next time for more Law and Disorder on The Mark Thompson Show.
All right, that's it. Let's roll. Hey, let's be careful out there.
Hi, it's Mark, and I thought that was great. Hit the notification bell. You'll know whenever there's a new video being dropped, and please subscribe to our channel to help us save the universe.